right. That's a lovely accent you have. New Jersey.
Oh, love this movie.
So then before we start, right, I just want to say off, like, for a long time I've been doing this with Shane, but there's a lot of times that we have technical difficulties. He live in West Texas where sometimes internet is not reliable. So sometimes we either skip a week. So me and him thought of a way to like, hey, we either shoot more episodes in one night or we have a backup. So basically I am doing the opposite of whitewashing, and I replace a white man with another white man, just like you guys do to the other minorities in the movie. Perfect example. Like, I think they replaced Wesley. Oh no, I don't think they replaced Wesley Snipes with Omar Epps from the Major League movies. They replaced Terrence Howard with I can't remember the actor's name in Iron Man.
Right.
Even though I like that actor. Because I'm just thinking about all these minorities they just replace.
Like you're not gonna notice.
Yeah, we're not gonna notice. Like,
hey Tony, it's me. Get used to it. You're.
But you know what? They did that to white people too. Like Edward Norton is Mark Ruffalo for the Hulk.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just to be fair, I always wanted to do that joke once you were on here, Eric. I replaced Shane with Eric, which we all know each other anyways.
Right.
But I always wanted to do that.
So yeah, I'm just a different cracker.
Yes, and we have a different take because me and Shane typically do like science fiction movies, maybe some drama movies, things like that, right? Some animation if you do with science fiction. But I want to take a different turn, and this is my second time doing a comedy movie. I only did one with Shane so far, which is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. But Dumb and Dumber is one of my favorite comedies movies.
Oh, all time. It's my all time. I mean, I've got the movie poster.
Yeah,
I love
see
this
it
movie.
Back there. You know what? I love this movie so much. This movie came out in 1994, so I was probably 13 or 14 at the time, depending on when this movie came out. This soundtrack, I love this soundtrack.
Yeah,
There was something
very
that
good music.
Yeah, it's very good music. I know I had to buy the soundtrack after I seen the movie. What's really funny is that when I saw this in a movie theater. It was one of my friends in high school that his dad worked at a movie theater, and we were able to go to this theater no longer exists anymore. Lowe's movie theater. Remember? Loew?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
How did you see it?
Honestly, that was the year that Jim Carrey had come out with a lot of movies, and I want to say I went to the theater as well. Yeah,
yeah.
I think I went to the theaters. We saw Ace Ventura first.
Yes, me and sister, my sister went to We walked to the movie theater because I wasn't driving age yet.
Yeah,
and then I didn't see The Mask in the theater, but that was the second movie that Jim Carrey had within 1994.
Yeah,
and this was being the third one.
Yeah, and I guess the thing that made me want to go watch Ace Ventura is because I'd seen him on In Living Color and doing Fire Marshal Bill.
Me too.
And just, he was hilarious. I mean, he is still hilarious, but yeah, just breakout role to me will always be Ace Ventura, but he was always good in Fire Marshal Bill.
Dumb and Dumber is probably my favorite also, but like this, I just trying to compare like these comedic movies with the most lines I can remember. I could probably recite this whole thing easily. I don't even know why.
Oh yeah,
it's just so memorable.
Well, I watched it just the other night to get a refresher on it because it's one of those things when it comes on. If it's on any one of these channels, I'm like, okay, I gotta watch it. It's like Roadhouse.
I don't know.
It's like it's like Roadhouse. You gotta watch it when it's on, just because.
Yeah.
Even if there's 5 minutes left. But yeah, you gotta watch it. So I sat there and I watched it, and I was like, you laugh every single time.
I do. It's still grown on me. Like it hasn't fallen out of place at all. Where like I don't think this joke is lame at all. Like some comedy movies, like this joke's kind of lame now, But this is always hits the spot, It still holds up to. It's almost 30 years old.
Yeah. Yeah, but the things that, like some of the things that I've learned about it over the years and just recently as well, is that the Farrelly brothers, they were like, okay, we're going to take 2 shots, scripted, perfectly scripted, and then after that, we're going to shoot them again, and you guys do whatever you want to do. And they said that a lot of that unscripted stuff that scripted stuff never made it into the film. They used all the unscripted stuff because it was funnier.
Yeah, because they had Jim Carrey, right?
Of course.
So I actually found this out yesterday. I know Jim Carrey only got paid like 300, if even 300 grand for Ace Ventura, right? Because like you said, you and I watch him from In Living Color, right? He was
Right.
not like a big name actor, even at
Nope.
all. Not even from The Mask. They pay him like almost close to 500 grand, but for Dumb and Dumber, they pay him 7 million.
Right.
It was such a big paycheck for him, right? That Jeff Daniels was willing to take a pay cut to be in this movie because I don't know if you knew, because Speed came out at the same year with this movie.
Yeah.
And he was in Speed, and he had the same name, Harry.
Oh yeah. Well, no, the going off of what you just said, yes, he they didn't want Jeff Daniels. The studio and all the guys, they were like, we don't want him, so they hit him with 50 grand and said, we'll give him 50 grand and he'll decline it.
Oh,
Jumped on it. And all of his managers, everything like that were saying, do not take this movie. We can get you out of it. And he was like, I'm gonna go ahead and do it.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know about that part.
Yeah, and there's a lot of interesting facts. The parts that really got me the most were, did you hear all the alternative people that were going to be playing Harry and Lloyd?
So the only one I know is Nicolas Cage and Gary Oldman, and I think Steve Martin and Martin Short.
Martin Short, yeah, those were the four main ones that were going to slide in.
Yeah.
But I couldn't imagine, because
that's hard, right? Because we don't know.
Well, it's like Nicolas Cage as Superman. I'm sorry, that just doesn't fly. To me, I cannot see him as Superman.
So
but anyway,
Ghost Rider is good for Nicolas Cage because we've seen him in that role.
Right.
But me and Shane don't want to talk about that because we will never know. It's so hard to do that because they're actors, and we think that the Farrelly brothers will be good enough as directors, as we can see now, be able to direct them to play the roles. Maybe not as Jim Carrey, but like you said, Nicolas Cage flavored.
I just can't see Nicolas Cage pulling off
either one.
Yeah,
Harry
the most
Dunne
annoying sound in the world.
See, okay, when you say annoying sound, he improv that, right? That's why if you look at that scene, Jeff Daniels was like, what is happening? Because he's like going off script. He was, because he did that also in Me, Myself, and Irene. When they were about to push the car off the cliff, they were just supposed to go 1, 2, 3. When Jim Carrey said all right, go on 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yes.
When they said we're good, also had the same look as Jeff Daniels, like what?
Yeah, there was
it's so natural, like what?
Yeah. Yeah, the ad-lib stuff in there, when you really realize what all was ad-libbed and what was real, I think that's what makes it funnier, because the look on Jeff Daniels' face when he says, you want to hear the most annoying sound in the world? He turns and looks at him like, what's he about to do? And the poor guy in the center, the guy who plays Mental, or whatever, he goes, man, those guys were driving me crazy.
Like the actual real reaction is so much funnier because it's hard to do that. And the other thing was, remember when they came out that 7-Eleven or the convenience store, those dudes were on the curb, right? Those were just extras. Jim Carrey was not supposed to have any lines, right? But Jim Carrey spoke to them anyway. Big gulps, huh?
No.
Okay, well, see you later.
The guys, they weren't extras. Did you know that? They weren't extras. I didn't. They were just two dudes standing on the corner watching the film crew, and Jim Carrey just happened to be walking out, and they said, Farrelly brothers go, just start filming. I'm walking out.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Out, he just looked at the guy and goes, big gulps, huh? Okay, see you later.
Because they didn't say anything. They're just like, yeah.
They just, those guys, they weren't even supposed to be there. It was totally ad-lib. Every bit of it.
That's so funny. There's we've seen this movie so many times. Like, we even know, the other part I love is like, whoa, no way. That's great. We landed on the moon.
that was another ad-lib part, too.
Why are those things so funny?
Because it fits the title of the movie. It's
the title of the movie. Like, what?
Idiot. And the title, did you know what the original title was supposed to be?
Oh, I don't remember.
It was a power tool is not a toy.
Oh, I do know that the studios didn't want to name the movie Dumb and Dumber because they didn't think it would be marketable. Yeah,
right.
They didn't think anyone was going to watch it because these are the things that me and talk about, like production, because, I went to film school. Like, it's always about what the production company wants, right? Like, if they don't think it's marketable, they don't want to bank on it.
Right, based on the title of the movie.
Yeah, based on, and who would know there would be such a hit?
Oh, man. Well, the Farrelly brothers must have, because they said that they went to several production companies.
None of them wanted to back it,
everybody said this is the most idiotic, and then New Line Cinema stepped up and they had some younger people that worked there and they
Oh
were
yeah,
like,
they take
this
the
is
chances. Yep.
genius.
I know.
So, but yeah, there's a whole lot of stuff in there. Like the one part that the scene in the diner when he scams them
Flo.
best into paying the bill, and then he's in the van and they're driving away, and he's like, "Yeah, I saw it in a movie a while back." And he's like, "Really? What happened, man?" And he goes, "Yeah, some guy scammed the sucker into
Let's
paying
just
his
get away
bill."
scot free.
That was a movie called Something Wild that starred Jeff Daniels.
No, was it really?
Yes.
So it was a real movie.
It was a real movie.
Oh.
I don't know about the slit in the throat part because I've never seen the movie, but yeah, it's Ray Liotta and Jeff Daniels and Melanie. I think it's Melanie Griffith. They're all in it, and it's not the same thing. But he goes up to pay his bill, and he's like, "Man, I got this. I'll take care of this bill." Jeff Daniels does, and he walks up front and he does this, and then him and the girl hustle outside. And then the waitress walks back over and goes, "Yeah, he said you were going to take care of this." And he's like, "That jerk," or whatever he said. But yeah, so and that's I don't know. Again, I don't know about the slit in the throat part, but it was just funny that he quoted a movie that Jeff Daniels.
Oh, that's really funny. I didn't know that. I love the connection.
Yeah.
Oh, well, the other thing I really like was Holland Williams. He plays a cop.
Oh God, he's hilarious.
He is, and the Farrelly brothers love him because they put him in this. They put him in something about Mary, like whatever they can, right? They just love the comedian. I like him too because he was in this. He was in Half Baked.
Yep.
That guy has reached because I guess he's kind of underrated because I think he's just a comedian, so he didn't get a lot of work. But just different with Jim Carrey, right? I think the best actor in this movie is not actually Jim Carrey, right? It's Jeff Daniels having to be in the same scene and keep a strict face. Like, how do you do that? And Jeff Daniels is a very serious actor at that time. Like, during this time. I'm so glad he took this role, though. Like, I cannot
absolutely.
Like anybody, because like, a lot of serious actors, they're always afraid to do comedy because they are afraid of the timing. Like a lot of them. Like I think one of the best ones is probably Nestle Nielsen. He do every comedic scene like a serious actor, and it works for him.
Right, and he's more of the slapstick because there's
he's
the line that's gonna always be around is like, "Surely you can't be serious. I am serious, and don't call me Shirley." Yeah. Just Leslie Nielsen was funny, but
in his later years, right? It's kind of like seeing Robert De Niro in Meet the Parents. Like this guy's been serious role all the way to like almost 70, and then he's starting to do these things that's really off the wall. It's out of his character, and it works. I think the next person is probably Mark Wahlberg because he's heading towards that way after the other guys, Will Ferrell, right? Because that was the first. I don't think. Well, he's not in a lot of rom-coms. He's in a lot of dramatic movies. And that's why I like Mark Wahlberg even more after he paired up with Will Ferrell.
Yes,
that's one of my favorites too. Like the other guys.
Yes, Mark Wahlberg. They're funny. Those guys are funny together. There's like The Rock and
Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart.
Yes,
those guys are they're a perfect duo. They're funny together.
Kind of like Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly.
Yes,
which John C. Reilly is also a serious actor.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We'll see, like the whole Jim Carrey, Jeff Daniels thing. Jeff Daniels, in some interviews, he said he was nervous about this because he was like, Jim Carrey is like extremely funny, and he's gonna cast a shadow on me, and I'm just gonna be looking really dumb. And he said Jim Carrey pulled him to the side and was like, "I'm gonna bounce all this off of you, and whatever you want to bounce back, do it, man, and we'll roll with it." And he said he made it very fun, and they did. The chemistry was really good.
The chemistry was
after it was all said and done with. Yeah, it was good.
It's weird that these two never got together to do another movie besides the sequel, which is really unlike John C. Reilly and Will Ferrell.
Right.
I think my second one that could rival this is probably Talladega Nights. I love Talladega Nights.
That one was funny.
Yes.
What about? Did you like Step Brothers?
Oh, I love Step Brothers.
See, Step Brothers was funny, but in my mind, Step Brothers was funny. It was a good point, good plot, everything like that.
I think it was just comedic movies. Yeah,
they were acting like Dumb and Dumber. They were just stupid. I mean, they were just dumb. I mean, that's the only thing you say. But in Step Brothers, they were very adolescent. It's like they hadn't gone through their puberty yet, and they were just 40-year-old
Men in their
children.
40s. Yeah.
Yeah. From my chest pubes down to my ball. That's one of my favorite lines in that
I got
movie.
I got the bull, but I want to get the young calf. Shut up.
Oh.
It's just these lines that they wrote out, and then when they actually delivers them, it's so great. Yeah, we're in the Rockies. Because sometimes they have the moments like, okay, sometimes it's pretty smart, like coming from one of them. Like, I think one of my favorite part, right, for this is when Jim Carrey said, like, he's sick and tired of having to eat his way through life. That was really good. Like, that was the most saddest part of the whole movie. And he delivered it so well. Mm-hmm. And then, like, the whole trip is just great. To this day, sometimes I still go like, according to the map, we only gone 4 inches.
Well, when I see people on the side of the road, sometimes I'll go, hey, come up!
Hey, come up! There's some people that want to ride too. Mark, see, you, see.
Oh, man.
Dude, I'm so glad you and I did this because, like, I love laughing. You know, it just makes you so happy. Just watching this movie. A lot of times I just quote stupid lines from it.
Well, what's really sad is when you're alone and you think of something like the scene in the beginning when he's like, that's a lovely accent you have. New Jersey? And she's like, Austria. And then he's like, well, good day, mate.
Let's put another shrimp on the barbie like that.
And you're like, the dude's an idiot. And you'll I don't know about you, but I think these things sometimes and I'm just like, genius. I mean, it's just because I don't know. That's just something somebody that's really, really stupid would do. Just
I know
Austria and think, good day, mate.
I didn't think like what was the Farrelly brothers? Is this their first movie?
Yes,
it was, right? Like, where did they come from? Like, because you know, a lot of movie directors they do music videos, and I couldn't even think like what was this? Well, because it's New Line Cinema, so they gave him a chance. Because I didn't, let's see, I'm going to try to look at it's Dumb and Dumber. And then, Kingpin is a good one too. You know what? They have an impressive resume right here. Like all their movies, I've seen a lot of them. And most of them, a lot of them are good. Have you ever seen the Dumb and Dumber 2?
Yeah. I suffered through it, and I say like
that. Suffered through it. That's a good.
Because I wanted to see it. Even the Dumb and Dumberer, the prequel.
Yeah.
I would just to see it. I was like, I gotta watch it just because I like the original so well. The original,
yep. I watched those too.
How much can you mess it up? And in '95, they came out with a Saturday morning cartoon, Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up because that was one of the things I read about.
I didn't. Video. I've never seen it, but they talked about it. It lasted 1 season, but I'm like, it was a cartoon, so I don't know how funny it was. They didn't voice them, Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels.
It was somebody else, like some of the actors. But I did. Yeah. I mean, I'm not familiar with voice actors, so you know.
Right. Well, the funniest fact that I found out about Dumb and Dumber is the person who originally wrote the script, not the script that you saw on screen, but he originally wrote the script and gave it to the Farrelly brothers, and they just basically ripped it apart and made it again. John Hughes originally wrote it.
John Hughes, really?
John Hughes originally wrote it. He wrote. You don't ever see his script, but he wrote it and then he gave it to them, and they tore it apart so much that they didn't have to give him writing credit because they
kind of like change it.
Yeah, they changed it a whole lot.
Because I read about like the original thing was supposed to be like they work at a funeral parlor. That's all I know.
Really?
Yeah, but then it was not what we got today, you know.
Yeah, I'd never heard the funeral parlor part, but
yeah, I just found that out today. Yeah.
Yeah, and there were a lot of alternate endings to it as well.
See, I didn't get to that part because when I say I watched this Australian guy, right, which is crazy for the funny connection. His name is Minty Comedic Odds, so he does like a lot of stuff like 10 things you didn't know about a certain movie, and that's what he talked about. Like he talked about the Saturday morning cartoon, but I didn't finish watching his videos because he said there were alternate endings that I didn't get to, but I'm hoping you did so you could tell me about it.
Yeah, the ending that they had was perfect. I think on one ending, it was more of a happy ending. But they were like, no, they were supposed to. I think one of the endings they were supposed to get on the bus with the girls and go.
Oh, okay.
But Jim Carrey fought that and said, no, our characters are dumb. Well, they're supposed to know, and they were going to go ahead and shoot it, and he said, I am not shooting it because that gives you a chance to put it in there. He said, I'm not going to shoot it. So they didn't, but they did shoot some scenes where they were supposed to go to work. The Barnes, the guy in the hotel that's like, here you go, Barnes.
Yes.
Here you go. He's always handing him $100. He comes running out after him. He's like, why don't you guys just stay? Y'all can live in the employee quarters and you can help me watch after I think it was his grandson or something like that. And when you spin around, it's Billy in 4C rolling up with dead bird.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
That would work too. But I like the bus thing better. Because the conversation between Lloyd and Harry, like, man, there's going to be two lucky guys going to be rolling with those girls for the next few months. Yeah, it's okay. We'll catch our break too.
Right. Just
That's so stupid.
Yeah. Well,
I love it.
Well, the little lines too, all the way through the movie when they sit down in the diner, and he goes, "Oh, look, they got the monkeys. They were a major influence on the Beatles."
And Harry says, "Yeah, I know."
Right.
So little Philly burger hot. No, it was a girl.
Now there was a deleted scene that I really didn't like. I'm glad they pulled it out in that hot tub room.
Oh,
where it got really, really, it was weird. Just the chemistry between the two of them almost, it was too close to like them having more feelings for each other.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't, when I watched it, I was like, I'm glad they cut that out because it once you see it, he talks about Jim Carrey is sitting there talking to him and he says, he looks over at Lloyd and goes, well, if you had some knockers, I'd be banging you right now.
Oh,
and it just kind of went a little to the gay side, you know. And I was like, I know that's not what they intended. They were just being stupid, you know?
Dumb.
But yeah, that was one part that I'm glad they left out.
Well, I'm glad that you explained that because like that part was just to show you that like okay, looks like Lloyd had a thing with his girlfriend, which Harry we didn't know until he knew later at that time, and I guess that's why he did the same thing to Lloyd with Mary.
Right.
Which that was really good writing with all the kidnapping and the ransom. Like everything just go together so well.
Oh,
it's not like there's plot holes. Like one of the major things that this is what I point out to Shane too, that I noticed now that watching it so many times, like why would Mary, like a married woman, hang out with any guy like that in them? Like it looks like they're going on a date, right? I mean, I get the normalcy, but like, but that's like a limit, you know? It looks like they were flirting.
Oh yeah, and they were. They were little banter going on there.
One of my favorite things is that the snowball fight that got really serious. Like, I didn't expect that. Like, what the heck just happened?
Oh, he drilled her with that one shot. He says, wow. He drills her.
I was like, what the heck just happened? I like not being able to do these things in real life. That's why I like.
Right.
Like, what the hell just happened?
Mm-hmm.
And like those little lines when like was it Billy and Fossey was like, I just thought he was really quiet, and Mary said like, who the hell are these people?
Right.
And one of them
current
is
affair.
In her house. A current affair. That news story just really date this movie when about talk about the Menendez brothers. Like, oh, I remember that a long time ago now.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, the scene, the hotel that they stayed in, this is another fact that I thought was really cool. Did you read that part?
I did.
Did you hear what Jim Carrey did, though?
No.
He told them, he goes, since we're going to be here and we're going to be shooting in here, I want to stay in 217.
No, so before we go on, like, I want to let the listeners know, like, we're talking about this, the hotel is the same movie from The Shining.
Yes. It's the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park.
The Stanley Hotel, yep.
And yeah, room 217 supposedly, this thing's like 100 and something years old, and I think it's 106 years old. And they say it's really, really haunted. And they said that Jim Carrey said, you know what, I want that room for the night. Oh. And they said, I don't think he made it through the first night, and they ran out of the hotel, and never has he told anybody why.
Really?
Yeah, they say he ran out and he said, I'm never staying there again.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I only know the hotel connection, but I didn't know he stayed in that room.
Yeah, he said that. I mean, there's probably some freaky stuff that's gone on in that room.
It could be an imagination, though, like, because you watch that movie. Like, if you give it to someone that never watched The Shining, right, they probably be fine. You can tell them it's
I don't know,
horror.
man.
They don't have that in their mind, right?
Uh,
Yeah, see, like, what do you think?
I've got my beliefs in that kind of stuff. So it's like, that would be, if it causes somebody to run out of that room, even if hey man, this might be a haunted hotel room, and you stay in that room, and then all of a sudden you hear, "Get out!" I'm running. I mean, I'm gone. I'm not gonna do what's the stereotypical white man thing. Oh, let's go investigate.
Let's go check it
I'm
out.
not Freddy from Scooby Doo. All right, I'm out of here.
Let's go check it out. What?
Exactly.
Oh, that's really interesting. I didn't know that. Like, I just found out that recently that they it was the same hotel. Like, because it's just a great location to shoot stuff, right? Like, it's like it looked like a grand hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I do like that Lamborghini though.
Yes.
Oh, those are IOUs. Those are just good as money. You see this? $250,000. That's a car. You may want to hold on to this one.
Exactly. I was thinking the same. I said that to somebody the other day, and they were like, "Oh, that's an IOU." I quoted the line too. It's just funny how in your everyday life something you can find that'll fit.
No, that'll fit in Dumb and Dumber
from one of the movies. Yeah.
Sometimes I still like, wow, he must work out. I try to fit that so hard. Like, would you look at the ass on that? He must work out. Because I didn't expect that either. And throughout the movie, like, I know the lady in the beginning was half from Austria.
Yes.
I still think about that. And then even the FBI agent, I thought she was cute. That was really good, though. That black lady, that was the FBI agent. I thought it was just a really coincidental that she was with Harry, Dan with Lloyd. Then you understand why, like, oh, so you're trying to scope them out to see, like, if they're in on it. Then she figured out, like, okay, these people are pretty dumb.
Yeah, they're pretty dumb.
And then at the end, where, like, when they gave Harry a gun, like, what if he shot you in the face? Oh, that was a risk we're willing to take. That would not fly in today's standards. No way that a gun was even given to Harry in the first place.
Right.
Because it's a movie, it's make-believe,
Oh, yeah.
Like, me and Shane talk about, like, in the 80s, right? We love a lot of movies in the 80s because nothing has to make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Now, everything has to make sense, like, because we're older, right? We expect things to work the way that we think it worked. But back in the 80s, like, we watch it's the same nostalgia effect. Like,
well, there's also people are being way too critical. I mean, they're like,
that's true.
That won't ever happen.
Yep.
And you're like, it's comedy, okay? It's funny. These guys
fantasy
are idiots.
And make believe.
Exactly. It's I don't know. That's going to get us on a whole nother topic when you talk about like cancel culture and all that other kind of stuff.
Yeah,
like,
me and Shane do that. We get off rail and I try to bring us back.
Yeah, I'm not going to get off on that rail because, man, this thing will last 5 hours because it's just, whew, Lord have mercy.
Oh, the other thing I found out a few months ago, I actually read this. You know the actor that plays Seabass, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the scenes they shot before the diner scene was the part where, he finds Jim Carrey in the bathroom.
Yes.
And, it's his facial expression when he opens the door, right? They took a lot of text, right? Because Peter Farrelly, he didn't like the reaction every time. Like, he's supposed to be more surprised and more glad. So, they took like 15 texts and then they took a break, right? Then he was feeling so embarrassed. Like, he was talking about, like, I'm just an extra, like an actor that's not really essential to the movie, right? And that's Jim. They're paying him millions of dollars. And here I am messing this up, wasting his time. So he went, like, during the break, he talked to Jim Carrey, like, hey, Jim, I'm so sorry that I'm messing this up. I can't get this right? So Jim Carrey tells him, hey, you know what? Don't worry about it. I've been in shoots that takes, like, way more takes than this before we got it right. So it make him feel a little better, right? So the next shot, the shot they actually used in the movie when he opened the door, right? Jim Carrey actually mooned him. So that's why you see that, like, he was like, he didn't know, and then he was smiling, right? You saw him smile because he mooned him.
That I didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. Like, so when I watch it closely that time, like, that's the reaction. Like, someone's ass is to my face, and they're like, okay, that's pretty funny. And that was the one
he does.
Used. Yeah,
he has that surprised look, and then he starts smiling. Like he's about to really start laughing, and then they cut right to
right there.
Now that you say it, it's like you can see it in your head, and you're like, oh
Yeah,
yeah, I
because
know
he was
what's.
just talking about like Jim is a down to earth guy, like hey, he was willing to take because I messed up so much, he was totally cool with it,
Yeah.
and then Jim Carrey does that.
Well, when he's sucking his thumb, going,
Yeah,
find a happy place. Find a-"
Hey, I don't want to talk about it, all right?
Oh, and in some of the deleted scenes, they have a full blown argument about that while they're driving away from that place after
Really?
Yeah, and he just keeps. I mean, Jeff Daniels just keeps ragging on him, and Jim Carrey is just like, knock it off. I mean, they don't really get serious; they're still joking, but it's like Jim
Ah.
Carrey gets really offended about it because he's embarrassed, if
Oh
you will.
yeah, I could see that totally. And that's something that's ever since bothered me as a kid, right? I trying to Google this part. I was trying to see what you know about it, because when they did the tag, right, I never understand the no erase double stamp, triple stamped it, no erase when they were arguing about, hey, you can't triple stamp a double stamp, Lloyd, like, is that a real thing? Because I never know about the rules of tag.
But I never played that game either.
Okay,
But that was just one of those things. It's like,
it's something between them they probably made up.
yeah, like the whole cross your heart, hope to die kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
It's like, yeah, I've never played that kind of game. So there's probably some people out there right now that go, oh yeah, we used to play Touch Blue Make It True or
Oh,
whatever
I
you
love
call
saying that. Touch will make it. That's one of my
it.
favorite quotes. Like, what does that even mean?
I don't know what it means either. It's
I
like, you
just
can't
love
triple stamp a
saying,
double stamp. You can't triple stamp a double stamp, Lloyd.
Lloyd,
Lloyd.
Lloyd, Lloyd. Why is that scene so funny of something that we totally don't understand?
Because they're just, I,
Being
honestly,
idiots.
I
Being
think it's the
kids.
guy in the middle because they're sitting there and he's right there in the middle and he's
Yeah,
just like,
it's
guys,
the uncomfortable.
he just gets so. And then when he finds out, that was funny when that guy, the mental guy, when he finds out that they're just a bunch of idiots,
Yeah.
and then they stuff the peppers in his burger, and
It's also start acting up from the acid is great.
right, well,
That's why the writing
like,
is so good with the rat poison and thought it was his medicine.
yes, and then they're slapping him, going, "Pills are good. Pills are."
I think my favorite part throwing the whole CPR thing is besides the leg pushing is when he threw his fist thing all the way to his chest. I don't know how much realism that was, but that was really funny. It looks like it's a wrestling move.
Yes. Oh, he was kind of pushed through his heart. Yes. Now, the part that got me on that one, every time I watch it, is when he's about to give me mouth to mouth and he turns and blows out chunks of
The
hamburger.
burger.
He's like, poo, 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 and he goes down.
It'll be easy if you stop resisting.
Exactly. Yeah, and I found out that the poison that they used were Smarties,
Oh, just Smarties?
the little Smarties candies that were the rat poison.
I love
There's
that.
there's so many little interesting facts because you sit there and you watch it and you're like,
Or you just accept it because that's what they say, yeah.
right, yeah,
The girl is cute too. That was Mento's sidekick. I always
Yeah.
thought that when I was a kid, like, ooh, who's this cutie? I never seen her in another movie. Well, she was probably is another movie that I just don't know who that person.
yeah. I
actress
don't know who
is.
she is either.
Oh.
I never really looked into her much, but I
Yeah,
know
me
that
neither.
Lauren Holly
Oh,
and
Lauren
Jim
Holly's
Carrey got
a lot of
married.
stuff. Yeah. In
Oh
that
yeah,
year,
they got married.
Yeah, they got married and then they divorced the next year anyway.
Yeah,
Like it feels like Jim Carrey's things is blonde women, because Lauren Holly is blonde. I didn't even know that because I think they color her hair to make her look
Yeah.
like a redhead, and then it was her, and then went to Jenny McCarthy, who is also blonde. Yeah.
Hmm. Well, I know it's like Adam Sandler has his women that are named Veronica Vaughn.
Veronica Vaughn. Vicky.
What's the other one
Vicky.
in
Right? I
the
can't
Water
remember.
Boy, Vicky
Yeah,
Valancourt.
Vicky. Yes.
Yeah, so he's got a lot of those Veronica Vaughns and all those. And see, like the Farley brothers, they must have somebody like Mary because there's something about Mary.
Oh,
Her name's Mary.
yeah.
And if her and Lloyd had gotten married, her name would be Merry Christmas.
Oh, nice. Oh, I didn't put that together. Merry Christmas. Yes.
Yeah. And that's one of the deleted scenes too. He's looking in the mirror at himself and he's like,
Oh, the
Mary.
daydreaming is one of my favorite parts. It goes
"Oh,
on
I
for
desperately
so long.
want to make love to a schoolboy."
It's like, maybe I should leave. Like,
The look on her face was priceless, man. That you would think that would have been ad lib because
yeah, because like,
she's like, maybe I need to go.
I just really want to make love to a schoolboy.
And then he's just like, no.
Was it a chance like a boy like you and a girl like me get together?
Right.
I
So
really
you're
like
saying
that thing.
there's a
Yes, I
chance.
love that thing. You're saying there's a chance. That's the optimism, right? Of a guy like,
Yeah, about 1 in a million.
1 in a million. Okay, so you're telling me there's a chance.
Yes.
What husband? What's all that 1 in a million talk?
Her husband, they slated Mel Gibson to play her husband.
No.
Yeah, they wanted Mel Gibson as her husband. I don't know why he declined or if he just said.
A lot of times probably schedule conflict because it only
Yeah.
takes that one day and like I can't make it that day. That would be cool though.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Hugh Jackman wanted to be in the first Spider-Man, but they didn't. They didn't bring the costume, so they couldn't shoot
Really?
it. Yeah.
Hmm.
Hugh Jackman wanted to be in the Spider-Man as a cameo, but they never made it work.
Wow.
Yep. Oh man, what else is about this movie that's so great?
Oh Lord. I know you run through it in your head and you're just like, oh. There's the whole thing. I mean, I'm sitting here trying to think of some other points.
I mean, like, I can't even think of a play. Usually there's a really great movie, right? But that's one thing that bothers me. But I already point that out, like the Mary being married thing, and then she was flirting with, Harry. And then, a lot of lines like, I just figured she was a raging alcoholic.
Right.
That was good. Actually, you know what? That part was really smart on Harry's part. Like, why would you want to meet you at 10 o'clock in the morning? She must have met 10 o'clock at night.
Right.
I mean, the dog joke was really funny, too. Sits you with a bulldog. Bullshit.
Yes. It's a nice set of hooters you got there.
Yes. The shed wagon, the van. I actually, when me and Heather went to Nebraska a few years ago, right? We went to a Lincoln, Nebraska game. I saw somebody made up that van just like Dumb and Dumber.
Really?
It was so cool. Immediately I saw it was just across the street. I had to take a picture.
Of course.
It was back in 2017. I'm like, who did this? It's dedicated. I don't think it was marketing. It's just someone decided to, like, kind of like people with the DeLorean, the time machine, right? Someone did that with the DeLorean. They took their time. It's not time traveling, right? But someone did that Dumb and Dumber truck. They're not using that name because they probably can't because it's probably copyrighted.
Right.
But they did that just mud cuts.
Mud cuts, yes.
Someone is driving around in that van and proud of it.
It's somebody who really, really loves Dumb and Dumber. Well, you
Dumber.
see, around this area, I've seen the Mystery Machine. Somebody has the Mystery Machine as well.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, I've seen it driving around before, and I'm like,
cool.
See, that's just. I was actually talking about this. I'm like, what possesses somebody? I mean, you must really have a love because I love Dumb and Dumber, but I would never go buy a van and deck
just
it out
do that, right? Yeah,
make it the shaggin' wagon.
The farthest I go is in the tuxedo.
Yes.
Yes. I see a lot of kids' costume, like brother and brother. They dress as Harry and Lloyd because their parents dressing up like that. They didn't pick that costume.
No, because they don't even know who Harry and Lloyd are.
But I seen kids in the wagon, right? And they dressed that up as the mud cuts thing in the wagon. I think that's cool.
Yes.
I would like that tuxedo as well. And I thought, like, the song Pretty Woman, that was perfectly when they were getting ready for the ball. Come on, Cinderella.
We got to get you ready for the ball.
I love that tux.
No, that part. Oh Lord, that part really got me too. Because especially when you see her clipping on his toenails.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden she comes out with that grinder.
That's the grinder.
And you see sparks flying, and then they're trimming their nose hairs, and they start from the ground up, and it's a pile of hair. And then the one thing that Jeff Daniels was like, I think this is going to ruin my career, was the toilet scene.
Oh yes.
He was like, they said that they shot him and shot him and shot him and shot him. And he said before a take, you know how you used to as a kid, you would just kind of hold your breath and push all the blood to your head to make your face red. He said, I did that. He said, I got the doing all that noise. And then in a deleted scene, he actually unbolts the toilet from the ground and has it hanging out the window trying to slosh everything out of the window. And of course they left that out. But there was also a story about that where Jeff Daniels supposedly either was playing golf with Clint Eastwood or they were on the same golf course as Clint Eastwood.
Oh,
and Clint Eastwood started. You heard about this? Yeah.
Yeah, Clint Eastwood likes this movie.
Yeah, he said he loved the movie, especially the toilet scene. He said, because that happened to me while I was on
yes,
the
that's right. Clint Eastwood said that. Yes, I thought that was so cool because you look at Clint Eastwood's face, right? It's like, dude, this guy is straight up serious, everything.
Oh, yeah.
And then he comes out like, I like this movie a lot.
Right.
Yes.
Well, I don't know about you, but Clint Eastwood has been in some seriously awesome movies,
Oh
and
yeah.
Gran Torino was
Oh, I was just
probably
gonna say my favorite one is Gran Torino.
he reminds me. You would have to know. You don't know my dad very well, but you've met my dad.
Yeah.
He reminds me of my dad so much.
Really?
Well, not with the whole like calling people names and get
Yeah.
off my yard.
But it's a
Now to get off
seriousness
my
thing.
yard, yes. I mean, he's got neighbors that when they back their truck in, they run into his yard this much, and he's like, "You killed my grass."
Oh.
that's that's his thing. He
Oh. I
don't he
love
don't he's like, you can't back
Gran
up your truck.
Torino.
Yeah, Gran Torino is an awesome
It's
movie. That's an awesome
one of
car
my
too.
yeah, it's an awesome call too. It's one of my favorite Clint Eastwood movie because he directed it, right? And then every one of these actors you see is never done acting before.
Really?
Like those, I don't know if they're Cambodians or Laos. I forgot which race they were, right? But none of them were in a movie before. His son was in the movie. Clint Eastwood's son, like he doesn't do much acting because I think his son likes to produce music.
Yeah.
But he put him in there, like yeah, everybody was new, and I love the way that Clint Eastwood talk. Like he doesn't have a lot of lines, right? But he would be like, "Okay, come in." He would smell the food, like
right.
It is so funny. And I'm like, "Oh, you could talk me to. I'm gonna talk to you anyway at work because you're a pussy." It's not supposed to be funny, but it's so funny coming from him, right? Because he's like, dude, this guy doesn't F around, okay?
Right.
And that's why, like, yeah, I forgot about the Clint Eastwood thing with Dumb and Dumber. I should watch that. Like, GQ do these videos on YouTube. They talk about, like, the actors going their very, specific roles, like, the most key, iconic roles. And Jeff Daniels talked about Dumb and Dumber, but I haven't had a chance to see it yet.
Really?
I love that because they talk about, like, during the production, because, like, things that you never find out, right? Like, their fees and stuff, like, oh, I didn't want to do this movie, but then, like, it was really good. I get to work with whoever. Like one of the first things is like when Mark Wahlberg broke into the comedic role, right? He knew he wanted to work with Will Ferrell because, like, at least this guy, he know what he's doing. I don't know what I'm doing, and I thought it worked out really well. And so does Evan Mendes. Both Evan Mendes and Mark Wahlberg, they really wanted to work with Will Ferrell, which is really weird to me because you would think would be the other way around. Like these guys would want to work with like Leo DiCaprio, like Jonah Hill would want to work with Leo DiCaprio. And I thought it was really cool, and like just like that, like sometimes I'm still juggling. Like, is the other guys better or Talladega Nights better? I don't know, but I think like the buddy cop thing is so good.
Yeah, the buddy cop thing is always going to be good. I mean, no matter. I mean, even what was Jackie Chan and Chris Rock, or not Chris Rock?
Chris Tucker.
Chris Tucker. Thank you.
The buddy cop.
I mean, they're supposed to be making another one of those too.
Oh, he's getting old though. Both of them are getting kind of old.
Both of them are getting old. Yeah. I mean, I know the last one kind of was like,
yeah, but it was not that good. The second one is probably the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of sequel are good for buddy cop movies.
Yes. And you talk about Harlan Williams.
Harlan Williams.
When he...
I think he ad-libs a lot of those scenes too. Like,
Yeah. Hand me that bottle, you pumpkin pie haircut is freak. Just...
Pull it over. It's a cardigan, but that's for another
Killer boots, man. No, they do a lot of the look on his face when he takes the first swig.
Oh,
when he does the twitching.
Yeah, he does the twitching.
Then he comes. But I noticed he does the twitching, and then he comes right back to him like, what did I just drink? And then he starts twitching again. That was hilarious.
Get the hell out of
very
here.
Good.
Oh yeah. I love that. Like, what are you, a camel? I can't stop it. It stings. Come on, I'm pinching it. I can't believe I enjoyed this as a 14-year-old. I'm about to enjoy this even at 44 years old. It's so great.
Dude, the thing about it is you never grow up because
you don't, right? Like guys.
Well, I mean I know people mess with me and they're like, oh, I can be serious when I need to be serious, but I'm like, why? When I can be a goofball and
have fun and relax.
These guys I know they got paid $7 million to be
which is not even
movie.
A lot at the time though. $7 million,
right?
Because he's still not he's not even famous enough yet. Jim Carrey. It wasn't until after Dumb and Dumber. You know?
Right. Well, what I saw was that they were about to sign Jim Carrey for, I want to say it was like $700,000
For this
to
movie?
be in Dumb and Dumber. They were
Ooh.
like, we can get him for 700,000, but if you don't have him signed by Friday, am I following up? If you don't have him signed by Friday, you might lose him, or you may have to pay more. And they waited until after Ace Ventura hit the theaters. It went
Oh.
#1, and they were like, "Oh, so now we're gonna have to pay him 7 million."
Oh, that's right. He was shooting The Mask at the time before they can get him to do Dumb and Dumber. Yeah.
Right. And then they had to basically, because their budget was only 16 million.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Half of that went to Carrey.
half of that went to Jim Carrey.
The Mask did also very good at the theaters too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Actually, The Mask is also funny.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I was watching some older stuff. It pops up on your feed.
Yeah.
And I was watching Jim Carrey on In Living Color when he was doing the dating game with Jamie Foxx's ugly girl.
Yeah.
And dude, you can't help but laugh at how ignorant he is. And then Jamie Foxx can be because he was pretty serious in Amazing Spider-Man as
he's good. Yeah, in Ray, yeah, Jamie Foxx is. I tell Heather, my wife, right? Like, a lot of these comedians, they do really good serious roles because that's how they're so funny. They're so committed to being that individual, right? That you believe like, oh, he's playing whoever. He's playing George Bush because like they acting exactly like how they see the real person. And that's why I think Jamie Foxx won the Academy Award because like they know how to do this. They know how to imitate the other person.
Right.
Like they do impressions really well, and that's why you believe like that's why it's so funny.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people miss that point. Like yeah.
Well, I mean, even like they get into their roles. So like with the whole tooth, the Jim Carrey's tooth in Dumb and Dumber, that's real. They just removed the cap. And same thing with
Ed Helms has the same thing.
Well, who?
Ed Helms, one of the guys from The Office. He plays Andy. He also has a chipped tooth, and they did that for The Hangover.
The Hangover.
Yeah, they just take it out. Yeah.
Well, I think if I read it correctly, they said Robert De Niro in Cape Fear actually went and had some work done to make his teeth look the way that they looked in Cape Fear. It's been years since I've seen Cape Fear, but I was just like, oh wow, that's
been years since I've seen that too.
That's like Tropic Thunder getting into your role, like
Robert Genius. So, that's one of my other favorites because I really like that one because it actually makes fun of a lot of like behind the scene production stuff, which Ben Stiller knows about a lot, and I know it because I went to the film school, right? And I'm like, I know exactly what they're making fun of, and Ben Stiller did it so great. So I read the story about like what Robert Downey Jr. talking about Iron Man, right? And then they talk about the comedic roles and other things he done. He said like, yeah, Ben Stiller actually came to my house, right? He told me about the whole thing, and I said this is the most stupidest effing thing I ever heard in my life. And Ben Stiller said, yeah, I know, isn't it great? So do you want to do it? And it was really so funny because Bill Hader's in Tropic Thunder, right? Yeah. I know I told this about story another time, like another podcast, but I can't remember which one because I'm older now. But the biggest star in that movie was Tom Cruise. So I watched the deleted scene and behind the stuff. I watched Bill Hader's interview, right? Bill Hader was his assistant in Tropic Thunder, and what's really funny is Bill Hader is like, they go to the table read, right? Ben Stiller is like, Tom Cruise don't go to table reads, but he came to this one. So he comes in, right? Everybody's like Jack Black, Robert Downey, like, oh my God, that's Tom Cruise. And he sit at the end because he's sitting with Bill Hader because most of the scenes were together, right? So he sits down. Bill Hader is like, whoa. Tom Cruise like, hey, I love your work. And Tom says to him like, oh, I love your work too. And Bill Hader said that like, you could tell that by him saying that, right? He didn't really know who I was. Right. But I think he just said that to be nice, So you think they get you talking, he does impressions, right? And then Tom Cruise like, oh, you do impressions. You're on SNL. And it was so funny because like they did the movie, they went to the premiere and everything, right? They come out the movie. Tom Cruise was talking to Bill Hader. It was like, man, can you believe we were in that movie? And Bill Hader said like, well, I could believe you can.
Now I have to say, the first time I saw that movie, I did not know that was Tom Cruise.
No way, really?
Very first, because I went into it kind of blind. Somebody just recommended, hey, watch this funny movie. I started watching. I was like, just like with the Batman movie that had the Joker, Heath Ledger.
Oh, Heath Ledger.
I went to the theater and saw
yeah.
that. I did not know that was Heath Ledger.
Wow.
And I was like, who is the Joker? Who is
Yeah.
this dude? And
Oh.
I had to sit and watch the credits, and I was like, you got to be kidding me, because I guess I wasn't a big Heath Ledger fan, the Patriot.
Yeah, because we just seen him in we would never give him that credit, but we always forget that these are actors. They don't pick those roles, like they have to audition for them to get and they're playing exactly what they are, so that's why they're good,
Mm-hmm.
That's why people crap on Ben Affleck's being the Batman, because we didn't like him in Daredevil. Like a lot of people didn't like him in Daredevil. I was okay, but then they're gonna be Batman. So it wasn't until I watched Gone Girl, right, with Heather, then I'm like, oh, Ben Affleck can totally be Batman.
Yeah, he's a good actor.
Yeah,
yes,
he's a good actor. He's a better director.
Yeah, well, when I heard he was being Batman, I was like, But then when you find out the timeline, it was the older Bruce
Batman.
Wayne.
Yes, I like that.
It wasn't the younger one like
that Christian
the Robert Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson and Christian Bale. They played the younger Batman. Yep.
Yeah.
So I like that better when Ben Affleck played the older Batman.
Yeah. Yeah, they did that. It wasn't too bad. I kind of liked it after you start realizing where the timeline was.
Yep. You know what? Ben Affleck is such a better director, though. I guess these are the things. Kind of like Jon Favreau. He's an average actor, but he's a much better writer and director. Jon Favreau.
Oh,
it just
because
they have to go through these steps in order to do what they were passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they can't just be like, oh, I want to direct this. Like, no one's going to give you that chance.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think they said that the Farrelly brothers, one of them was director. I don't remember which one the director did, but the movie that they didn't get a lot of credit for. Have you ever seen Stuck on You?
Oh, I have, with Greg Kinnear and Matt Damon. I only seen it one time.
It's not nearly as funny as, because
no, it's not.
Dumb and Dumber and Something About Mary. When you watch both of those, Dumb and Dumber is still my all-time favorite.
Yeah.
Something About Mary is probably their second movie that really, really makes me laugh out loud in several places. But that movie, it's got some good funny parts. So the Farrelly brothers, I don't know what happened to them. They kind of just dipped off. They
did the what did they do that was not everybody was a big fan of? The Three Stooges.
Yes.
And what I like something about Mary doesn't. Oh, I like Me, Myself, and Irene.
Me, Myself, and Irene.
Kingpin. I like Kingpin.
I forgot all about Kingpin.
Yeah.
I forgot they did Kingpin. Kingpin is hilarious.
The Heartbreak Kid was okay. I think it's just Dumb and Dumber. The last, the Three Stooges, I trying to watch that. It's not that good. But the other people, did you tell me about Shallow Hal? Is Shallow Hal good? It's Jack Black and Gwyneth Paltrow.
For Jack Black, yes. I mean, it's got some funny parts. It's got some really funny parts. You know the premise of it, right?
I think he's in some kind of curse and he sees the beauty on the inside, right? That's
exactly. He can only see the beauty on the inside. So Gwyneth Paltrow is 400 pounds.
Yes.
But he sees Gwyneth Paltrow
and the person inside, not the outside. Yeah.
Exactly. And she's gorgeous, kind of thing. So yeah, he falls in love with her.
Premise, yeah.
Yeah. I think the Jason Alexander role they could have done without.
I forgot he was in it.
Yeah, he's kind of weird in that movie, but it's he's like the comedic sidekick kind of deal. But I've never been a big Jack Black fan except for Kung Fu Panda, his voice.
Yeah, his voice and Tropic Thunder.
And Tropic Thunder. Yeah,
I like everybody in Tropic Thunder, even though I didn't like them before.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not a big Jack Black fan either. Yeah, except for Tropic Thunder and Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, you know what? Jack Black was in Mars Attacks. That was his skinniest role.
Really?
Yeah.
No, it's been so long since I've seen that movie. I couldn't even tell you. I know Jack Nicholson's in that one. That's about it.
Oh yeah, he plays two or three roles or something. Yeah.
Let's see.
I'm looking at The Ringer, Fever Pitch. I never seen Fever Pitch. It's Jimmy Fallon, right, and Drew Barrymore. You know what? I think just this Dumb and Dumber, Kingpin, There's Something About Mary, and Me, Myself, and Irene.
Yeah. Now, Me, Myself, and Irene that's another one.
Yeah,
it's pretty funny, especially the night he wakes up and he goes to the bathroom the next morning.
Yes.
And he hangs it out there, and that thing just shoots up
Just
straight
something-
right.
Cause nobody ever saw that coming.
No, because you didn't.
Because you didn't know what happened. He just like,
Well, then when he starts wiggling the thing, and he's like, "Oh, you had this thing," and she's like, "It wasn't for me." And
he just throws it away. He does this.
right. He's just like, "Oh, no."
I like
No,
when you say the next morning, he's trying to stop it with a picture. Like, what is he doing?
he's trying to redirect.
Yeah.
But another thing about the Farrelly brothers is if you've noticed, I know you've noticed, everybody's noticed that you watch all their movies and they have a lot of the same characters. I mean,
Yeah.
Seabass is in Me, Myself, and Irene.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And one other thing about him, if I read it correctly, he's a hockey player for the Chicago Bruins. I think what he plays
The
for.
Seabass guy?
Yeah, the big guy Seabass.
No, really?
I think they said he would. Yeah, might have to look it up, but I think they said it's the Chicago Bruins.
No way.
Yeah,
I gotta look that up. Seabass, huh?
what his name is, but yeah, they said that he's a. I think they said he's a hockey player.
How can Seabass not be one of the characters they have? Oh, here we go. Cam Neely. Let's see. He's a committed. Wow, he's a hockey player.
Yeah.
Whoa, for the Vancouver Canucks and Boston Bruins. Yeah. Wow.
Is it the Boston Bruins?
Yeah, Boston Bruins.
God, I haven't kept up with hockey in so long.
From 1983 to 1996. His nickname Bam Bam Cam.
Yeah, the little thing that was on some of the extras is that he said that he would walk out onto the ice or skate out there, and people would start saying, "Kick his ass, Seabass!"
Oh.
They would start yelling that at him.
I love that line.
That would be. I mean, that's awesome.
It is because they pick him for his size, right? This is a big dude.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Who's a dead man who hit me with a salt shaker? He's like.
Those things are like, I didn't understand because so when you throw it over your left shoulder, like you just sprinkle some salt and throw it on the left. I didn't know that until I saw Friends, and one of my friends told me about that. Like it's the superstition, bad luck.
Oh yeah, it's like knocking on wood.
Yeah, knocking on wood. Yeah, I didn't know that about the salt. It's really bad luck to spill the salt.
Oh, there's so many superstitions out there too.
But like even though if I didn't know the superstition, he just stole the whole thing.
Oh yeah,
that is funny. Like, what does that? Over your right shoulder. Oh man. You feel like you're winning at an incredible way. Wait, Harry. Stop it. You're not even going too false there. You're annoying me.
and out of the blue when he's driving her to the airport, he's like, "I got worms." That's what we're gonna call it. Jeez.
I wonder if anybody out there actually will open a store called I Got Worms, because from South Park, right? There's actually Chinese restaurant in Colorado called City Walk.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
Oh,
There's a
no
City
way.
Walk in Colorado, because who would want to bank on that?
Well, I would order from it. I mean, just to be able to call. Yeah,
I would just go just to take a picture.
Chicken?
I want to see the chicken. See the beef. It is so offensive. I love that show.
That show is you have to hear my son do Jimmy. He can do Jimmy very, very well. I'm talking the stammer and everything. He does the whole down like a clown, Charlie. I mean, he does it great. And but I told Caleb about the episode where they have city sushi and city walk, and they start fighting, and then they go to the elementary school, and he's like, "Hello, South Park Elementary," and then they start talking about the difference between China and Japan.
I forgot about that episode, man. It's like, how am I gonna watch? I guess when I'm 70 with nothing to do, I'm gonna rewatch South Park.
Well, the nice part about it is when you get like 80 and you're watching all these things, you'll have your bag to where if you have to pee yourself, you just go right.
my stadium buddy.
Exactly. Nothing wrong with that.
Oh my goodness. Oh man, it's just like Dumb and Dumber is such a great movie. Why is this You know what? I think I like Dumb and Dumber because it's something I could watch around my kids. It's PG-13. I can't watch something about Mary because it's a rated R movie. Kind of like
Right.
Tropic Thunder. Like me, myself, and Irene. I can't watch that around my, like, children.
Right.
And then
Well, I
Dumb
mean,
and Dumber I
it's
could watch anytime.
yeah. Well, my sister and I were talking about movies of the 80s, even before Dumb and Dumber,
Mm-hmm.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yeah, before they have a
So,
PG-13 rating because it was just PG or rated R.
well, right. So Ferris Bueller's Day Off was rated PG,
Yep.
and
It should
Fast
not
Times at
be.
Ridgemont High was R because they had nudity in it and everything
Yes.
like that. But when was the last time you saw Fast Times at Ridgemont High?
Oh, it's been a long time because I can't see Sean Penn in that surfer California dude thing, right? Because
Oh,
it's so hard to see that now.
well, the reason I watched it is because I was skimming through stuff and I saw those people that make all those T-shirts,
Mm-hmm.
and it said Spicoli 2024, I can fix it. And if you know the movie, he wrecks what's his name's car.
It's
Think
been
of
a
the
long
actor's
time I've
name.
seen it. The last time I saw it was on DVD before Blu-ray was a thing, so I don't remember.
He's the black guy that has kind of the lazy eye that's in Crying Game.
I've never seen The Crying Game.
I can't think of that actor's name, but anyway, he's in there and he plays Jefferson, the big football player, and they wreck his car, and he's stoned off his mind, and he leans over and he's like, "I can fix it," fixing the Z28. Yeah, but yeah, that movie still holds up too.
Oh,
I
it's
think Dumb
still?
and Dumber is going to hold up. If I make it to my 80s, I'll still be looking back on this movie and going, "That movie's funny." When my grandkids are going, "Granddad, this is not funny. This is
Yeah.
not funny at
This is
all."
so
But it's
stupid.
right.
Slippery Swanson? Oh, Samsonite.
I was way off. Uh,
What's really funny because he got it right the first time. Swanson, or maybe it's on a suitcase.
right.
Samsonite. Even though like I knew Samsonite was a nice brand because luggage, right?
Right.
Samsonite. Oh, what else do I love about this movie? I love the Hooters scene, the benefits.
Yes.
Oh,
Hooters.
one time I'm going to do a will in my life. Like this is a $5,000 plate dinner. Well, that's two, just in case we want seconds. It's $2,000 just in case we want seconds. I always want to do that in a buffet because like what? It's $15 a person, but he's $30 just in case I want seconds.
Right. Yeah, but $500 a plate. Woo.
Oh, because it's for benefit. I really like it though. Oh,
Yeah.
I guess the only thing I didn't really like is those owls. They look fake to me, even though when I saw them in the movie, like, are these fake owls or are these so real that because I never seen owls like snow owls.
Oh, they were fake.
Oh,
They
okay.
were animatronic. Yeah, they were
Okay.
definitely because you can tell when that one turns his head.
Oh, because they had to shoot the part where it fall down and it flipped down
Right.
and fall down. Yep, those was fake.
Hmm.
Okay.
And they quoted the line from Silence of the Lambs. I'd
Oh.
like to eat her liver with some nice Chianti and some fava beans.
That part
And then
remind me of like Wayne and Gar from Wayne's World. Would
yes,
you look at the fun bags on that one?
yes. No, and then when he says, "And tell her that I have a rapist wit."
Yeah, rapist. That's gotta be ad lib, right? Like, there's no
Who
one
says that kind of stuff?
like no one is writing this. Kind of like when I watch 30 Rock, like Tracy Morgan, right? Like Tracy Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
Like they gotta let him say whatever he wants because like it's funnier looking at the reaction of the actor. Like, what?
Exactly. Well, that's when some of the funniest stuff happens. I mean, in all the movies
It
that
is.
you watch, when you can tell that they're ad libbing, Eddie Murphy was probably one of the best ad libbers.
Eddie Murphy is great. Yeah, Eddie
Yes.
Murphy, Jim Carrey, because like I think in those I don't know about Eddie Murphy, but Jim Carrey's scripts, right? There's sometimes just a blank page that just says Jim Carrey being Jim Carrey. That's the whole
Right.
thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like in Liar Liar,
Mm.
you've seen the outtakes, the Liar Liar, and
Oh yes.
all that stuff, and even in some of the outtakes on Dumb and Dumber, when they have the camera on Harlan Williams, they're just like, "Go."
Yes.
And he just starts firing stuff
Yeah.
off, and they landed on
Ben Stiller is
Pumpkin
the
Pie
other one.
Hair.
Yeah,
Who?
Ben Stiller is the other one.
Yeah,
'Cause
Ben Stiller's
they have
funny.
these. Yep, they have these genes where like, oh, Robin Williams is the great one.
Oh shoot, Robin Williams. Yeah,
Where each take is all different. Every take is different from what they said earlier. Yep. But editors hate that because they're like, no, I don't know which one to use.
Right, because all of them are funny.
All of them could be funny. Like, oh, which one do I put? Yeah. I just loved it.
Oh.
Jim Carrey acting like Jim Carrey. What a great scene.
Really good comedians that can do that kind of stuff.
Oh, I love, right?
Yes, that makes it worthwhile. I'm sorry, I'm looking up some stuff here real quick.
Oh, it's okay because I look at some stuff just to bring up the stuff. Like, now let's watch it again in instant replay.
Oh, and he's in Ace Ventura.
Like,
well, yeah, there's a lot of folks that I've heard say they just replayed that. And I'm like, no, Jim Carrey is acting backwards. He does it. I mean, he doesn't do it perfect, but he does it well enough to make people think that they actually just rolled the film backwards.
You know what's one thing I do? Because now I have kids, right? Like, sometimes I go into the store and this is what I say. Hey, if I'm not back in 15 minutes, just wait longer.
I say the same thing too.
I love that. Just wait longer.
Well, the other scene that I liked was the moped scene.
Yes.
All the way when he gets the moped, and he's like, just when you couldn't be any dumber.
Oh, yes.
You go and do something like this.
And totally redeem
yourself. And then when they're in the Rockies and he's like, hey, man, we need to stop. I got to pee. He's like, just go,
man. Just go.
And then he's so relaxed.
It's warm. Like, oh, I tried to go pee. Just go, man. I love the part like, I thought the Rocky Mountains would be more rockier than this. I did too.
Yeah, that John Denver's full of
shit, man. How is this not? I guess that joke would age out because a lot of kids probably doesn't know John Denver.
Yeah.
Like, things like that they have to put like a pop culture icon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of odd because where I work, I was walking down the aisle the other day, and I heard a kid. He was whistling Rocky Mountain High, and I was like, I even stopped and was like, John Denver, and he was like, yeah, and I was like, aren't you like
10,
16, maybe?
Because his parents, right? Because parents probably listen to the same music when he was a kid, and that's why he knows it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because people look at me sometimes, and I mean, I know I'm 50 now, but it's like they'll go, "How do you know songs from like the 60s and that kind of? How do you know all these country and western? Because country and western songs come on the radio, and I can sing all the lyrics to it, and they're like, "How do you know those?" Well, when you're trapped in a car driving to Oklahoma or wherever it is you're going, and your parents have an 8-track, and it just plays.
Yes.
You hear the same thing over and over. So you learn.
Like, I know my parents like my mom's favorite songs. Like that's not something I would know, but I know how to sing her songs because I listen to that. Yep. Same thing. Because we and Shane talk about like we talked about Ready Player One, right? Like how did these kids would know about 80s stuff? It's probably because their parents.
Right. Oh yeah.
Because I don't know what my parents like. My parents come from a generation where you either have to work or you die starving. So my kids would be like, that's why they're watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because they still carrying on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They still carrying on the same stuff they have. I mean, they come up with new stuff too, but TMNT will always be around.
Oh yeah,
I watched it. Right now they're about to release Super Mario Brothers movie. So here's a funny story before we wrap this up. I was trying to watch the Bob Hoskins run, right? I never watched it. So I got the DVD, I ripped it myself so I could play it, digitally, right? I'm watching this by myself, like, man, this is really terrible. But I want to make sure I sit through it so when this new one comes out, I appreciate it even more.
Right.
Heather comes by, like, what are you watching? I'm watching Super Mario Brothers. So she takes a look, right? How is this Super Mario Brothers? Ethan comes by, asks me the same thing, like, what are you watching, Daddy? I'm watching Super Mario Brothers. He's like, this is not Super Mario Brothers. So now I'm like, just the trailer alone, right, looks better than the whole movie that they tried to make back in 1990. Because I watched the Sonic movie. Actually, the Sonic movie is actually pretty good. The first and second one, right?
Yeah, I've heard that. I haven't seen them.
So coming from a man in my 40s, like, why can't they produce this kind of stuff when I was my son's age?
Oh man,
I feel like we were born at the wrong era. I tell you this though. My answer to that is because people our age are now making those movies. This is what we would want to see when we were 10.
Right.
Just
Well,
like the
the
Marvel. Yeah,
technology
all
is
the
stepped up.
technology, yep.
I mean, because there's no way if you had seen the Avengers, any of the Avengers when you were 10 years old, you would have thought it was real. You'd have been like,
Yeah,
holy cow.
yep.
Because when my son first saw Iron Man, when did Iron Man come out? The first one.
2008.
Okay. So my son was really young. You know what he asked me?
What?
Dad, can you make me a real Iron Man suit?
Oh.
Thinking I can go out to my shop and I can start anviling some metal and bending it, and making the hydraulics and all that. And it's like,
Yep.
No. I just thought
Wow.
of it.
No, it's true. Like you agree, right? Like because people our age are making those now, and that's how we want to
Absolutely.
see it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was a boy when I still got all the issues from Infinity War, like back in 1990 in New York. I have all of them. And even though at age 10 or 11, right, like, man, I wish they would make this into a movie. And then they did. By the time I was age 38, they made it into a movie.
Right.
I had to wait like almost 30 years for it, but still.
Well, I grew up with, you've heard of Star Blazers or Space Battleship Yamato. It came from Japan.
I have not. Oh, it might be a different name. I'm not
Well,
familiar with those names, yeah.
In Japan, it was called Space Battleship Yamato.
Okay.
And in America, it was called Star Blazers. Same cartoon. That when I was in elementary school, I would run home, and usually as soon as my butt hit the TV, right in front of the TV, the opening credits were just ending, and it was a soap opera. It was basically a soap opera cartoon space based around
Stars
in the
space.
way into the future. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that show. And then He-Man came out, Masters of the Universe.
I wonder if Shane knows about that Star Blazing show.
Oh, dude, that probably by far was like, and in Japan they made full length movies.
Yeah.
And Disney at one time bought the rights to it.
Oh.
There were too many. I don't know. It's too many people who were way too sensitive, because the Yamato was a Japanese battleship that the Americans really sunk in real life.
Oh.
And that's a real World War II story. And when they thought, well, we'll make a full live action movie of all this stuff right here in the Yamato. We can't call it the Yamato.
We'll call it something else, yeah.
We need to call it the Arizona, or something that sank in maybe Pearl Harbor.
Okay.
And it's like, don't even do it then. You're gonna piss off all the people like me. I don't care if it was the Yamato. It's not that story. So
it's just
that's the kind of stuff. I don't change it just because you want to save somebody's fees.
Yeah, it's just, that's just the production idea and things like that. Yeah, I totally understand. Yeah, that's why me and Shane talk about that all the time. Like, they have, the production. Like, that's why me and Shane hates Warner Brothers, because they mess up DC so bad.
Yeah,
they don't have a person like Kevin Feige, because the production it's like Batman. Batman, Michael Keaton was good. The second one's Return was good. Batman Forever is still good. And so now they make it kind of kiddish for the fourth one with Arnold Schwarzenegger and George Clooney. It's like the Adam West Batman. Like, why did they do this? Because they think that's what we want, and they want to market to a bigger audience, which is little kids. Because Batman is not kid friendly in a way, if you read the comic books. But you know what? Warner Brothers got a new person now. Hopefully they'll let James Gunn do his thing like Kevin Feige, but we'll see. He's only half of the board, from my understanding. Yeah.
Well, they need to hire the same, because if you watch the visual effects, DC versus Marvel, the visual effects look so much more real. Especially just watch real carefully. I mean, you're in film. I know you notice this stuff.
Oh, I do.
When you see a character get knocked on the ground, it's almost like you can tell where they cut and drop them there.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't look fluid. And with Marvel, when a character gets hit and knocked to the ground, it looks like that character's really flying.
It looks like I'm reading a comic book page live. That's what Marvel has been doing for me. Like I watched She-Hulk, right? It's like reading a comic book pages with moving parts. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you like She-Hulk?
I did like She-Hulk. You know why? Because they brought Daredevil back.
Yeah.
I did like the comedic side of She-Hulk, because that's what she does in the comic books, just like Deadpool. She talks to the audience. And I like that a lot, because they do that with Deadpool. I like to see them do, if I'm reading the comic book. So it brought back to it's like I'm a little kid again. Like, this is exactly what I wanted at age 10, and then they did it for me.
Yeah.
That's why I want to put Kevin Feige in a castle where nothing can hurt him. Now I've been watching The Mandalorian. I watched the newest episode, The Mandalorian, right? As soon as I saw that, like, okay, where's the GoFundMe to put Jon Favreau in a castle?
Right.
When he cannot get hurt or die or anything.
Well, yeah. I mean, I know we're getting off onto the Star
Oh,
Wars
yeah.
stuff, but did you like Obi-Wan, the series?
I did, but I think the best Star Wars series is Andor.
I haven't seen that one. I like Star Wars, but a lot of it I think out of all the like original movies that they've come out with, you know, you have of course the original one, episode 4, 5, and all the, you know, Return of the Jedi. I really, out of all of them, I liked Rogue One.
Oh, Rogue One is the best.
Yes.
Rogue One is the best, and Andor is from the character from Rogue One.
Really?
Yes, it's Cassian Andor. That's why I feel like that series is the best one. Like, kind of like Obi-Wan, right? The first 3 episodes until Vader comes on, that's when it starts to get really good. Like, okay, now you want to see where this is going. Andor, it takes like about 2-3 episodes to build up the character, right? But once it hit that like episode 4 or 5 point, it starts to feel like, well, what the hell's going to go on? Is this a heist? What's going on? Yeah, Andor to me was the best one.
Really?
Yeah.
I have to check that out.
It's 12 episodes.
I started watching The Mandalorian, and I got probably, I'm not knocking it at all, so if anybody comments that you suck, when I'm very, very critical of shows like that, and it's not just Star Wars, it's any show that I watch. If I can watch 3 shows and on the 4th show tell you what's going to happen, it may be different characters, but it's like, oh, okay, the Mandalorian, he goes and he does this and he saves this person and he helps this person, and then he's on to his next adventure. He's like Kane in Kung Fu, you know, going back to that. He goes to a new town, he rescues or saves somebody or helps somebody, and then he goes to the next town. And that's kind of how the Mandalorian is. All those shows, even like, I know everybody's like, Breaking Bad was awesome. I liked Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad was awesome.
Breaking Bad had the same qualities. Dexter had the same qualities. All those shows. It's really hard for me to watch TV. That's why when I find a movie like Dumb and Dumber or
it's very relaxing. I can sit through it. Yep.
Yeah, I can sit through it because I know, okay, we talk about cartoons. I love South Park. Mm-hmm. But when South Park started going more on the episode, you have to watch this episode to understand this one. And so it told a story. It kind of got, it's not so funny anymore to me. First season, it's like each episode was independent.
Yeah.
That's why Family Guy, I love Family Guy, dude. Because every episode is different. Yeah, they have some things that link everything together, but every episode of Family Guy is different from the next. And that's the kind of stuff I like. It's got to be fresh. It's got to be new. It's got to be different.
So kind of like Seinfeld, like not all their episodes connects. Like it's just about that issue that they're dealing with that day, and they don't have to bring it back. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, there's not a lot like that. The only one that I've seen like that is How I Met Your Mother. They jump all over the place. So you like time travel and things out of sequence, right? That's actually a pretty good show.
Yeah.
Because they will say something like, so for something like that, like, you know, you'll never know when a TV show gets canceled, right? Like How I Met Your Mother, they will say something in season 3, like, oh, there's a goat in the bathroom, but we'll save that for a different time. That story doesn't come back until season 7. By then,
really?
Like, yeah, because like, oh, I remember them talking about it, but it took several seasons before they mentioned it again. And I thought that was really good writing when they connect stuff like that. Yeah, it's kind of like Lost, right? Like, we'll just put this in there and we'll worry about how to write that in later.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we're definitely going to have to do something with time travel because everybody, this is where I'd like to get a lot of people's, because everybody has their own little take on time travel and how it works.
I like how we went to Dumb and Dumber to time travel.
So, well, yeah. I know.
I got a segue to bring it back, but I do have a segue to bring it back because Dumb and Dumber, right? No matter how many times I watch it, it's crazy that, okay, I know this joke is coming, but then I still enjoy it. Like how many comedy movies that I can say to do that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like the top ones that we love, I already named here. I can't think of a comedy movie like I kind of like, but then I don't really want to rewatch it because I know what's going to happen. And the only one example I can think of right now is American Pie.
Yeah.
It's enjoyable, right? But I don't want to rewatch it because I know what's going to happen. And it's not as funny as Dumb and Dumber, Talladega Nights, Step Brothers, Tropic Thunder, the other guys. You know?
Mm-hmm. No, I know exactly, because I know with Dumb and Dumber and all those movies, even Something About Mary and Talladega Nights, even Step Brothers, I know all the movies. I can quote Dumb and Dumber almost from beginning to end.
Oh, I can too, yeah.
but I always notice something different when I watch it. Almost every single time I notice, because I'm not watching, like usually I'll be watching this person or I'll watch that person, or maybe I'll see something in the background that's a
Right.
little different this time. I mean, because this last time I watched it, I noticed just next time you watch it, there's people in the background that you're looking at them going, are those extras or are they just people that just got into the camera view because they're looking right at the camera as the action's going on, and so
Oh.
I'm just focused on stuff like that because the little bit of work that I've done with you when you did the movies and stuff, I've always had the knack for picking up on little things like that.
Yeah, scenes though, yep.
Like if the hammer's back on the gun in this scene and the next scene flashes over and the hammer's forward on the gun, you're like, continuity, you messed it
Yeah,
up.
kind of, yep.
So
People will
I'm very
catch it.
critical of that. So, but yeah, I pick up all that stuff on Dumb and Dumber. I mean, I just think about it. I got robbed by a little old lady on a
So all
scooter,
those icon.
and I
Because what he
didn't even
said
see
to
it
her,
coming.
like, was kind of offensive, right? Like when he left her, like, even though like useless or something, they can still serve a purpose. Like, whoa, even though it's a little kid, like that's a little bit out there. I wouldn't have said that to that lady's face.
Right. Well, that's the last of our money, man. Make sure you buy just the
Hey,
essentials. And he's got a
what I
paddle
look like
ball, a big hat.
a big of a what I look like. Oh, like, oh, I didn't take this out of our fund. I was able to waste a couple of extra bucks. Like, from who? Brilliant, we'll see.
Baseball
Some
cards, some
car,
comics.
baby. You sold my dead bird to a blind kid? He didn't even have a head. Harry, I took care of it.
And it's a big ball of duct
Duct
tape.
tape.
Oh, in the deleted scene, I know we're back and forth on this. In the deleted scene, there's just a little bit extra on that scene when they go in to
Oh,
get the
when they go into
bird.
the apartment, yeah.
Yeah, when she says something like let's trash the place, or he says let's trash the place, she
Yeah,
goes, I
like,
don't
oh,
think
they
they're gonna
keep
get
the
that
message.
message. And he's like, I know. And they show him grab the bird. They show him reach in, and then they show her face, and then he goes. They don't show the bird. They just show him going, and you hear that. So I guess that's when he tore the head off. But
Oh.
yeah, you have to watch the deleted scene because there's a scene of Seabass in the bathroom where he's like, I got something for you, and he reaches down and grabs his junk, and a lot of stupid stuff that
They cut off, right?
they cut out. Some of it they should have cut out, and I'm glad they did. But
How
some
did
of
you
it
watch
they
this? What?
what's that?
I watched it on Amazon Prime because I bought it. Well, I bought it digital, but it was available for Amazon Prime. So I don't know how the licensing works. If I bought something on Vudu, it will show up on Amazon Prime. That's how I watched it. How
Okay.
did you watch it with the deleted
Well, I
scene?
have the DVD, and I found the DVD
Mm.
afterward, but I couldn't find it. And I was like, where is it? Because a lot of stuff's been going on in my house here recently. And so I thought, you know what? Let me see how much it is on iTunes. So I turned it on iTunes. It was $10. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I'll go ahead and
Oh,
buy it.
bye. Yep.
And now I don't have to look for it. It's right there. They had the iTunes extras, and it had a lot
Oh.
of deleted stuff and extended scenes and director's cut. And I watched the director's cut for the first time, and
Oh.
just a whole lot of little things that
That they don't show. Yeah.
yeah,
You would that stands out to us because we've seen this so many times. Like, hey, this wasn't in the original when I saw it. Yeah.
right. And it's amazing and it's exactly what happened because I was sitting here and I'm paying attention to the movie, watching it, but I'm also doing something on my phone, and I heard extra verbiage that I'm not used to hearing, and I'm like,
Oh,
wait a second.
nice.
Oh, so I had to stop it and rewind it a couple times. I'm like, I don't remember that part being there,
Yes.
and of course it was new because you know.
Huh.
But no, it was probably my favorite movie by far, and
Favorite comedy movie, right?
well, it was such a favorite movie that the poster behind me was bought for me. I mean, just
Oh.
for that reason, because and that's the original movie poster.
Oh,
So
that's cool. So it's the front and back where it's like, yeah, the light can
yeah,
come through it. Yep, I love those. I didn't know they make movie posters that way until I worked at a movie theater. Where
yeah,
like the front and back is just the backward poster, so the light can shine through it. I didn't
right.
know that's how they did that.
Well, this one, I don't remember where it came from. It was a gift, but a long time ago, I know this. I used to have all kinds of movie posters. I worked at Blockbuster Video. I dated myself right there. That was fun.
Hey,
I used to have movie posters everywhere.
Blockbuster Video's coming back. They just opened a store somewhere. I think I can't remember
Really,
where though. Yeah.
they won't
I mean,
last long.
no, I mean like the last Blockbuster was in Alaska or like like a small town, where they probably don't have reliable internet. But
Right. Well, yeah, I drove to Virginia, and as you're driving through Virginia, if you go through some of these podunk towns,
Yeah.
you'll see, I know here they have a couple of family videos, but you'll see like, 24-hour video rentals or something like that. And those are the ones that have a little room in the back where you can
Yeah.
go get your other stuff. But I'm like, I started thinking, how do those things survive? And what you just said was exactly it.
Yep.
It's like they probably don't have high-speed internet.
Yep.
They probably have DSL or something like that, and they can't stream Netflix or whatever.
Hey, Redbox is still a thing at Walmart.
Well, yeah, at the CVS right up here. People are always standing there. It's good. Like, man, I'll just download it.
Before we go, right, we've got like 5 minutes. I can't go back to watching stuff on Blu-ray because you have to watch back at that station. Because, with streaming devices, right, I could go to this room, I can go to the living room, bedroom, I could pick up exactly where I left off and continue watching this movie. With Blu-ray, I gotta go back to the room that I originally watched it from.
Not if you have your house wired properly.
Oh, yeah, then you're just splitting HDMI to all the devices.
That's it. You got an HDMI splitter that goes to every TV in the house.
But how do you? I guess you could use a Bluetooth remote nowadays if that device supports it.
Well, the remote that I have, where is the remote? This one here?
Is it the Logitech Harmony?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
This will work anywhere in the house because it's radio frequency and not infrared.
Yeah.
And see, now they've got the HDMI, and they've had these. I'm not saying now they've got them. They've got them. You can run a network cable.
Oh, through that box.
So one box, and it'll carry the HDMI signal to wherever you want it.
Yeah,
so
because
it's
you
all
can control stuff via HDMI. Yep.
Right.
Now it's like back probably 10 years ago. Like, well, that's awesome. Now it's like, dude, that's stupid.
Right. Why would you want to do that?
Yeah. There's so much wiring. Everything should be wireless now. Okay.
Right.
Back in those days when I was first playing the Xbox 360, when it's wireless controller, I freaking loved it. But no wires. But now I want to go back to wires because I don't want to waste batteries.
Right. Well, back in the day, and this is going to date me. I had my own landline in my home.
Oh.
My parents allowed me to have my own landline. I was 30 years old. No, I'm kidding. No, I was probably 15, 16, and my parents were like, okay, we'll let you use your own phone line. I've always been into electronics. So I rigged up like an answering machine, and I took a microphone, like a singing microphone, and I had it hanging from the ceiling of my room where when a person called me, I could turn my stereo on and hit an answer button. And all my stereo would play my phone, and my microphone was my microphone.
Wow.
So I had my whole, and I know nowadays, like right now, I'm talking to you on a video with no wires going to it except for the power. And back in the day, I could just be like, hello? Hey, man, what are you doing? And it was all in my room. I thought I was the coolest.
Dude, that's pretty cool. Because, like, you make your own speaker to where, like, the sound is great, not just the stupid speaker coming from the phone.
Well, see, I played the drums. So when somebody would call me, I could reach over and I could, hey, what's up? And I didn't have to get up off my drum set. I could either hit a button or use my remote to change the tuner.
Conveniency, yes.
It was fun. I was cutting edge.
Yes.
But nowadays, I'm just old.
I was like, how do I make my life even simpler,
Right. So.
Well, it's time for us to wrap it up. So, hopefully me and Eric will do some more episodes, even when Shane comes back. So that way, sometimes he can take a break from whatever he does in West Texas. But until then, we'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you for tuning in for this episode of Tensai Reviews. If you like what you heard, give us a thumbs up. Follow us on Spotify and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll see you on the next one.